Vamos a continuar con nuestras aventuras. Que entramos aquí. Hay muchas cosas que ver. La radio emite extraños zumbidos. Una silueta enorme de un trasero en el cojín y marcas de café en los reposabrasos. Alguien aquí acostumbra a relajarse junto a la radio. ¿Qué es esto? Un objeto. Interactuar. La principal publicación intelectual y oficial de Martínez comunista. Propone una perspectiva mazoviana radical sobre una serie de cuestiones. Esta es la cabeza.
The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover.
Hasta las esquinas de la publicación. ¿Estas por qué?
Because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism. They represent a society in accord with the natural world and, at the same time, above it.
Es decir, el comunismo en este mundo se representa con astas de ciervo.
Because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white. After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents. The magazine is divided into several sections: international developments, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée, unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel. La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bear wrestling. Flip back to that. It seems to be part of a new public fitness initiative in the People's Republic of Samara, SRV, devised and promoted by none other than President Kanajinsky himself. According to this extremely credulous account, Uncle Sport, as he's affectionately known to his people, has recently decreed bear wrestling the national sport of the SRV. Based on the description in this article, he appears to be an extremely competent and democratically elected president. Sapormat Sport Kanazinski is well into his third decade as president of the SRV. Outside Samara, he's known for three things: brutal repression of internal dissent, monumental corruption, and a near pathological obsession with physical fitness. It's quite straightforward. A standard match features one man, or in some cases woman, against one bear. Two competitors, one ring, 5 rounds, or until incapacitation.
Claro, Deporte Nacional
According
pelearse
to the
contra osos.
SRV's Ministry of Information, the program has been a tremendous success. Public support stands at 87%, and youth obesity and alcoholism rates are down 12% and 7% respectively. This is the SRV we're talking about. If you think those are the real numbers, there's probably a guy who wants to sell you a bridge in La Shirt. That's very much the idea. President Kaczynski has long maintained that a strong body is the best defense against capitalist aggression. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. Why they decided to title this one section in Volda is beyond you.
Significa arte y cultura.
As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. The Tip Top Tournée is an inter-Isolari racing series, mostly known for its high speeds, ludicrous sponsorship deals, and high death toll. In Revachol, it's held quadrennially on the prestigious Zero Carousel racing circuit.
Todo torneos con carreritos. Los patrocinios, sobre todo su elevada tasa de muertes. Veamos el perfil de excepción.
This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. So, all of it, basically. Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines: Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka. There's no way those are real names. Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on, they're plainly pseudonyms.
Sí.
Under
Para
capitalism,
no ser
the
perseguidos
article says,
políticamente.
every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity. Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a fritter. And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for. You see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tourney is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capitalism.
Ah, come on. Can this article read your mind? Well, there you have it. No reason to get hung up on the pretentious ramblings of a few young men. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dockworkers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. According to these editorials, there can be no accommodation with the forces of international capital or their mucilaginous allies. Judging from the context, it's something very large and fundamental. You should probably know about it already, honestly. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Ahora la revista.
What's this?
Empatía, ¿qué es esto?
Wicked
Les llevan informes de opiniones
normal,
políticas normales y
reasonable,
razonables y moderadas.
Temperate,
En segundo lugar de
political
la Martinez.
opinions, somewhere in Martinez. The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you, it's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience. I knew we could trust you. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, we are all going to be so much happier.
¿Qué es esto? What? No entiendo muy bien qué es eso. ¿Qué objeto es ese?
On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of the drawers.
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork lying around like this.
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders. Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara. And the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol, Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry. Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara. And the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol, Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold. You already went through all of these.
Vamos a intentarlo.
The drawer slides shut. The file cabinet stands steady as ever. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer. It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters. Remember, Leo, Everart's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everart's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list. Remember, Leo, Everart's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everart's plants, sweep office floor, more banners.
Recuerda, Leo. Voy a apuntármelo por si es algo importante, no sé. Zapatos, Brard. La tinta. Este mismo. Zapatos. Brad. Especial. Berlín. Plantas.
All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled. The drawer slides shut, smooth.
Vamos aquí. Vale, perfecto. De ropa. Uno de teoría, pero uno más de visión espacial. Ahora llevamos. Menos mal que no lo... ¿No puedo usarlo? Pensaba que sí, ¿no? Vamos a ir por ahí. Por ahí también es una opción. Esas botellas vacías. Como...
This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather. The chair is not as austere as the rest of the booth. A thin grey pillow is attached to the seat, secured to the stiles by black ribbons. The drawers are empty, save for old timesheets and receipts. One small box, however, does hold some cheap painkillers. They are slightly out of date.
I'm not here to tell you what to do, Detective.
Oh boy, where to start? Elevated risk of dementia, mini strokes, prophet's disease, sudden death, hair death, erectile malfunction. Critical.
¿no?
Don't think about that. Quick, think about something else.
Tengo cosas deberes que hacer, otras que resolver.
The enormity of the case before you dwarfs the list of side effects. You can't even see the side effects anymore. They're nothing to you. You take the painkillers. They are yours now. You stand and exit the booth.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up here.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, René, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. The girl is young and very pretty. She is smiling playfully at the camera.
Why did you take that picture of René? Fine, but let's move. I don't want to be seen snooping around here.
A ver, ¿qué es lo que hemos robado? Vamos a ir por ahí o por aquí. Vamos por aquí. Vale, esto es una plataforma. Voy a investigar el otro lado. Voy a investigar esto de aquí. Ah, está roto, vale, entonces no he dicho nada de nada.
Rusting control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marche and Arrête are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. Marche. On. Arrête. Off.
¿Qué es esto? Y si intento... Oh, no. A ver, instinto. Vamos a seguir grabando.
Container, I'll turn you nice and red. Container, container, put the logos on.
Hombre, luego tranquilo. Y está
The
de pana.
lyrics to this container song are being made up. as he goes along. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisunt on Muindi.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, container, now belongs to Everard. Everard, 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 he looks after everyone. Huh? Well, hey there. How can I help you, mister? I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat. Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister. Oh yes, born and raised in Arish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then. Too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from. No sir, those are just nasty rumors.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh yes, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. I almost forgot about the borscht. Oh yes, I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done. Yes, yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
He didn't actually understand what you meant, and now he's just nodding along.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up. Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pine's livery, and the mountains rising behind Leo is all red in Union colors. It's like some red infection was spreading outwards from the container yard's core. There appear to be cisterns underneath the Union container covers.
No, not really. Mr. Everett doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone. Oh, I don't know, mister. They say it's some chemicals. Most of them have labels on them, I think.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
Ahí transportan la
No trouble
droga.
at all, mister. No trouble at all. Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate. But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union business. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling him to take some time off. I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. Well, that's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in a fight since I was in middle school.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the hearties.
Look at him. It's not going to be anything useful anyway. Don't fight it. Better to go with the flow.
Mira, no te va a ser útil de ninguna manera. No te resistas. Limítate a seguir el rollo.
I remember I was the runt of the class.
Vas a seguir
The
el
bigger
rollo.
boys always used to pick on me. You see, I had a bit of a temper back in the day. Flew off the handle like nobody's business. But Mr. Everett and his brother always came to help. Once they beat old Noel Becker so bad he needed stitches on his head. Noel never started another fight with anyone after this. Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar are real nice guys, mister. You should go talk to Mr. Everett. I'm sure you'll be good friends. He's friends with everyone around here. Yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone calls me Leo. I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town, and Mr. Edgar's right-hand man when Mr. Everett is away. Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those Douai Sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done and me and the missus sit down beside the radio. But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes I am, yes I am. Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back, she was all fancy and lawyerly.
He respects that word. That's obvious.
But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood, knows everybody and gets along with everyone. Real pillar of the community one day, I'm sure. If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have kids. Dr. Lemaitre said so, and she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years she has.
So Everett trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
Yes, this place really seems to run like clockwork. Keep it up, Leo.
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot, really. Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust my ass for them here. But you guys are alright. Oh, you want Mr. Everett?
Pobre Leo.
He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood. Guys like Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school we did when we were boys. Oh, Mr. Everett is where he always is. In his office, of course. Bye-bye now.
Hmm.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you.
Bueno, una de las pisadas era de una persona que pesa como 200 kilos, ¿no?
With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you, with a mixture of expectation and impatience, well bottled.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up. You understand?
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. I insist. Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union man in him. A real piece of work, that boy is.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Or... Cool? I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure there are cooler things than delivering a comically oversized novelty check to a cafeteria manager. But, sure, if that's what's cool nowadays. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun, lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun. When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
No sé, te le agradecería cualquier ayuda.
Are you all right, Harry? You seem anxious. Don't be. Everything's going to be all right. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
¿Confiamos?
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because you lost your gun and those children are going to shoot themselves with it.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here?
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry! Mr. Dubois, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of water or something?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm afraid we're wasting our time. And I'm an extremely busy man, as I'm sure you are too.
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some questions pertaining to a murder investigation.
Quick, here's your window. Get yourself together and ask him questions. Police officer questions.
Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to discuss it with you. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me, but there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange information, we could blow this thing wide open.
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines, incredibly talented at opening doors.
Me temo que eso es invención tuya.
I'm not sure I understand. If you're asking us to break down someone's door, it's not going to happen.
Come now. I just need you to go open a little door for me and leave it unlocked. A simple thing. Absolutely nothing shady about it.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Fantastic, my friend. Just let me know when it's done and we can take our friendship to the next level. You can get the key from Manana. He's down by the gates. Manana's like a free agent in the Union. Special operations. Hardened socialist. A real free thinker too. He'll tell you precisely where the door is. One last thing, Harry. Just open the door. You don't need to go in or anything. I just want that weasel to come home and see the unlocked door. Of course. Let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me Everard, I call you Harry. My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion. I mean, see what his game is first.
Puede que sea buena idea ocultar tu confusión.
So good to hear that, Harry. Apparently my sources were wrong. However, if you did have a spot of memory trouble, I could help you out. With my big fat folder.
Words flow like a river of honey from his lips. I guess word has already reached him. No matter. No harm done. It's just a brown folder. You can't make out what's written on it.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first. As you look at the folder, Everard covers it with his hand and pets it. He's hiding it from you because it's not a real RCM folder. It's just another one of those brown folders you saw in the file cabinet.
Okay, Harry, you got me. This is from the Census Bureau, not the RCM. Those Census Bureau people are absolutely corrupt. You should do something about them.
He got the name from the Census Bureau, and everything else from your actions here in Martinez.
Yes, Mr. Kitsuragi from the Census Bureau. Like I said, now I'm actually a very busy man. So is there anything else I can do for you, Harry?
That means he doesn't really know anything about you.
Mm-hmm.
A pity. The mystery of you will have to remain a mystery for the time being.
Yes, that's what I said. Try to keep up, okay? Let's move on. Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone, searching every playground, asking kids, grandmas, everyone. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure you of that. It's just a matter of time and effort.
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage.
Yes, thank you for the hot tip regarding your lost gun, Harry. My men have indeed factored in that you pawned it. Now please, let the professionals do their job. Kick back, Harry, relax. I have great guys on this. You focus on what's important, building our relationship for the good of Martinez.
It did not come as a surprise to him. He might actually not be bullshitting.
Damn it, Harry. That's exactly what it means. I'm only kidding, of course.
Of course. I understand. We help you, you help us.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take care, Harry.
Kingdom of Conscience. The Kingdom of Conscience will be exactly as it is now. Moralists don't really have beliefs. Sometimes they stumble on one, like on a child's toy left on the carpet. The toy must be put away immediately, and the child reprimanded. Centrism isn't change, not
Límite de
even
voluntad,
incremental
límite de
change.
voluntad social.
It is control over yourself and the world. Exercise it. Look up at the sky, at the dark shapes of the coalition airships hanging there. Ask yourself, is there something sinister in moralism? And then answer, no. God is in his heaven. Everything is normal on earth.
Esa frase también le sale en Evangelio, la de Dios está en su cielo, todo va bien en la tierra. Ahora debería hacer esto y me darían más una en enciclopedia. Consigo un objeto. Qué gigante. Vale, pues intento venderlo, ¿no? Me falta 5 para poder subirme algo. Me ha subido la enciclopedia y ¿qué más me había salido? Me había subido voluntad, me había aumentado a 5. ¿Ves? Ahora tengo, puedo subirme una voluntad bastante. Eso estaría bien, subir la voluntad estaría bastante bien. ¿Qué es aquí? Vale. No le van a salir. Vale, vamos a salir de ahí. Y ya podemos salir de aquí. Pues esta parece ser la chica, ¿no? Ah, no.
Your body betrays your degeneracy.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
You have succumbed to Al Ghul. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick. Yes, Al Ghul.
He means alcohol.
Correct, my small skull servant. Al Ghul is an ancient Ilmaran poison, a parasitic fungus that has colonized your race. It is a trick the desert pygmies played on you, for humiliating them and stripping them of their land.
Intentionally fermented drinks have existed for 10,000 years.
This is a fabrication the alchemists of Yizot and Bashir and their Rolam Al Ghul have fed your people. Go on believing in it, race loser. Why don't you have another drink? Your features are not yet congenitally deformed enough.
Oh yeah, Measurehead.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is waning. Jerking motions. Signs of a late-stage neurodegenerative disorder. How far the Occidental Haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race. You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft. You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Khoikos. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture. You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Simonine Islands and to Boogie Street and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
You could internalize Measurehead's race theory. It would enrich you rhetorically. Well, not as such. What you do with a mastery of advanced race theory is up to you. You could reject the findings, sure, or accept them and become an advanced racist. Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you? What thing? We already got in the harbor. You just want to hear about races, don't you?
You are obviously a liberal, Sailorite. A polyculturalist. I can see it from your love of microtechnology and your sartorial choices. Do not deny your friend the truth you have denied yourself.
A ver, vamos a seguirle a ver si nos dice
There are
algo.
3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades. In Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. You know them by the names of their nation states. The Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners.
Mahoon is a derogative term for first world people of Gotwaldian descent. They do not all have eczema. Also, people of Katla, like the Suru and the Uhu, are much more lactose intolerant. You're welcome.
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
Colorful tassels are, let's be honest, not a good sartorial choice for this century. You might want to avoid wooden clogs too.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, the other large Mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, They are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum. As proven by the Maun and the Mesk, Occidental Type A is in retrograde. The Semenese and the Areopagites are on the ascent. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Semenese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable
Un montón de
projector,
gilipolleces que está diciendo este ser, ¿no?
unchanged since the super is. The latter is perfected, and a type B are the unheroic races. Amorphous non-competitors of the Great Red.
The Khoikos of Grad, Yugo, Zhimsk, Shest et al. Are what you would call white officer in a suspect description.
To an untrained eye, the Khoiko appear white and pinkish, like a ham sandwich. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic. The Khoiko, the countless micronationalities of Grad, are...
Wouldn't he be one for ethnostates?
They are microscopic. The Semeno-Areopagite superstate will cover the entire remaining planetary crust. Its leaders will be the genetic epitome of the Semenese and Areopagite stock, elected by nature. Revacholians, halfway between Type A and the racial Cauldron. Two mixed to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution.
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
The mysteries of the people of this planet are a tragedy that has played out countless times over, like a fever dream of skin, hair, and bone. Wake up, night. The revolution came to Ravachol from Grad, in Zarath-ridden potato carts. It is literally an illness, a prion disease that leaves the parietal and frontal lobe ridden with holes. A soft, sponge-like mass of dementia, hallucination, and the revolution is
Dios mío, este
fatal
tipo está bastante
familial
ido.
insomnia. A hereditary prion condition passed from the Khoiko to the Occidentals. Enough of Type mediocrity. Types CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Lesser races like the Mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a Mesk woman and a Semenese man. Only possible if the mother is Mesk and the father Semenese.
¿Cómo?
The other way around, the Mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride.
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
Exacto. Por eso no existe el tema de razas. No hay una... Es decir, todos los seres humanos somos de la misma raza, no hay diferentes razas de humanos. Por eso todos nos podemos reproducir con todos y la descendencia que generamos será estéril, salvo algunas enfermedades así pero en sí no sería a causa de la unión, sino de la propia enfermedad que podría tener cualquier ser humano. Pero en sí, no. Como puede ser algunas enfermedades genéticas que te pueden llevar, pero eso no significa, pero que da igual, es decir, habitualmente la gente de ciertas ideologías, de cómo son, que son ampliamente racistas, se apoyan en el término de las razas, pero que no, pero que y se suelen como respaldar mucho en la ciencia, pero bueno, no deja de ser la ciencia ellos usan pseudociencias para justificarse, para sentir que tienen razón, ¿no? Porque es como, yo tengo razón porque la ciencia es algo objetivo. Y curiosamente, cuanto más sabes de ciencia, más puedes ver que no tienen razón alguna. Por el hecho de que todos los seres humanos nos podemos reproducir. Por lo tanto, eso de las cosas de la raza no existen. Un término acuñado por los... hace mucho por los europeos cuando empezamos a descubrir pues América y tal, y bueno, y cuando llegamos a África y tal, un término nacido del colonialismo y para justificar tales atrocidades que se hacían, para separarse, ¿no? De decir, estos no son humanos, bueno, son humanos pero son de otra raza, entonces tenemos más derechos que ellos, porque en sí no tiene sentido, es decir.
You are right. You have misunderstood. You lack basic phylogenetic education. Then there is the Semino-Koiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Semino-Koiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site. The Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with this will never happen. The Simonese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Simonese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koik, but enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of Tipsef. You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. You need to internalize what you have heard here today. Then I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vasholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease?
Aquí la tengo por si la tengo bastantes. No me la voy a apuntar.
Scott?
¿Esquirado? Pregunto el nombre de...
Your hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the flask he reaches for from time to time.
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses. Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess, scared maybe. But scared of what? Of who? Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something. We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time. I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, "Let us cop for less money." Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the Wild North? Come to see the strife? A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Of course, I got you. You don't know anything. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. Polar weasel? Oh, I know what you mean. I'm pretty sure he's actually Occidental, though. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the Wailing in Rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call
No soy racista, sin caso. No sabía a qué se refería. Y lo que deberían de hacer es, a veces, en este de juegos, yo no sé yo, que deberían de poner entre paréntesis un poco el tono que vas a usar, ¿no? En plan, vas a ser tal, quieres ser irónico, tal. Porque tal vez tú dices una frase creyendo que vas a decir algo en un tono preciso, mientras que tal vez no es así.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in. This jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
He means he's not going to tell you cause he doesn't know. But he will shoot his mouth off with you now that you're working for Everard.
We're negotiating our share. Aye. All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
This seditious talk sounds like communism. Just so we're on the same page, communism is basically wanting to kill the rich people or deporting them to a labor camp in southeast Grad. But don't say that out loud if you're a communist.
I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman. He's probably in his container at the harbor. So head right on in there. Sure thing.
This was great. You feel mentally reinvigorated.
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing?
The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze
Podemos dejarlo por aquí.
An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic island, pointing toward the sea. It looked a silver plaque on the statue's pedestal reads, "I am Philip III, the Squanderer, the greatest of the Philippian kings of Revachol." As you look up, you notice something about the statue. There are some odd indentations on the king's chest piece. Even by the standards of the Philippian kings, old sumptuous Philip was known for his profligacy. Well, he blew through the whole national treasury, starting the decline of one of the penultimate century's greatest superpowers, the suzerain of Revachol. His own maladministration foreshadowed the fall of the monarchy. During the anti-centennial revolution, an end to his family line, and stories have it that he had his bedroom converted into a treasure chamber, where he stored unfathomable wealth. Krugerrands, bars of gold, ornate weaponry, armor, and various chalices. He called it the Sol Aurum. It was obscene. There were whispers he slept on a huge pile of gold-dipped feathers, like some obese dragon, instead of a bed, like a normal person. But wait, you haven't even heard about his fabled cocaine addiction. You see, old Philippe wasn't just good at squandering the national treasury on gold and ceremonial weaponry, he was also a prodigious snorter of nose candy. That's what the revolutionaries said 150 years later, right before they emptied out the royal mausoleum and dumped His Majesty's mortal remains in the Insulindian Bay. Beneath the cold waters of the Insulindian Bay, thrown there by the revolutionaries after they cleaned out the royal mausoleum. The original was blown apart by communards, then further damaged during the landing of the coalition's airships during the turn-of-the-century revolution, when most historians think the coalition's hasty landing may have ultimately saved the statue. If the communards had more time, they would have reduced it up to even finer pieces. Some years ago, a group of liberal, artistically inclined individuals, designers mostly, thought it would be ironic to restore the statue of the most wasteful ruler of Revachol in the poorest part of the city. The statue is supposed to capture the moment it was blown apart, like an instant frozen in time, a rare butterfly trapped in amber, floating on a sea of shit. People in Martinaise tend to disagree, as do many prominent art critics and thought leaders with more nuanced social awareness than the young ironists. Those critics might have it wrong though. There's more to it than just ironism, but you can't say what precisely. Perhaps this art, Philip III, the Squanderer, however, with his bronze face up in the air, doesn't seem concerned about what the hoi polloi think of him in death. Not that he ever did in life either. Something with great kinetic energy seems to have impacted the cuirass, around where the heart is. A bullet? Someone shot him in the heart. Interesting.
Okay, I can't see it, but I take your word for it. Well, Martinez is riddled with bullet holes. This place saw a lot of action during the revolution. But the statue, is recently renovated, so maybe a joke? Target practice or a political statement? Why not? What this shows us is guns aren't too uncommon here.
The king stands high above you.
Bueno, vamos a dejarlo ahí porque... Tenemos que hablar con esta persona. Bueno, y por aquí también tenemos que hacer cositas, ¿no? Pues lo vamos a dejar por aquí. Nos vamos al Fallout 4.